The opening scene features a high school girl named Tsukiko Izumikawa, who has a strong passion for photography. As a result of this, she always has a camera in her hand, and she is also a member of the photography club in high school. One day, Tsukiko is returning home with her best friend Yoshi Kazuya. Throughout the way, she continues to click pictures of her surroundings, as well as of Yoshi. A short while later, Tsukiko spots her elder stepsister, Tomi Kawakami, who also goes to the same high school. Tomi is currently seen with a guy named Toshio Shinoda, a person whom Tsukiko secretly admires. This makes her extremely jealous, but she does not let it appear on her face. As Tomi notices them, she waves her hand and requests Tsukiko to click a few pictures of her. In the midst of this, Tomi says that she knows her stepsister is jealous of her relationship with Toshio. This leaves Tsukiko speechless, prompting her to stop taking the pictures. Seconds later, a steel cross from an under construction building comes hurling towards Tomi and penetrates her neck, resulting in her untimely demise. Witnessing this, a shell-shocked Tsukiko drops her camera. When the camera strikes the ground, it clicks some pictures on its own. 1 year passes after this incident, and we see that Tsukiko's daily life is slowly returning to normality. Regardless, she still suffers from grief and recurring nightmares over her stepsister's death. The scene then cuts to Tomi's 18th birthday, where her parents, accompanied by Tsukiko, sit around a birthday cake in her honor. They sing her a happy birthday song and celebrate for a while. Amid this, there is a knock on their door. When Tsukiko goes to answer it, she sees a creepy shadow behind the door who calls herself Tomi. This unexpected appearance deeply unsettles Tsukiko, leading her to quickly summon her parents. Assuming it to be some kind of prank, the father, Masashi, opens the door, only to be astonished by the actual return of Tomi, whose beauty shines even more radiant than before. Despite taking some time to come to terms with this, the parents are overjoyed to see their daughter alive, and they welcome her back with joyful tears. Meanwhile, Tsukiko is perplexed by this inexplicable miracle. Following morning, she notices an unusual sight where her father is smelling and even licking Tomi's hair during breakfast. When questioned, he asserts that he missed Tomi so much, and it is just his love towards his daughter. Still unconvinced by his response, Tsukiko steps out into the garden, only to discover her mother burning all the photographs she had taken. She quickly tries to stop her, but Tomi comes in between, sparking a heated confrontation between the siblings. The altercation ends with Tomi crashing into a wall. Seeing this, Masashi becomes infuriated and impulsively slaps Tsukiko right away. Following this, Tomi manages to get Masashi to whip Tsukiko across the back with a steam iron cable as her punishment for not showing affection towards her. Show your dead sister some respect. Yay, now come here and let me touch that hair. In the aftermath, Tsukiko goes to take a bath, and soon after, Tomi joins her. Eventually, the bathroom lights start to flicker, and as a result, Tsukiko feels a bit worried. In contrast, Tomi has a creepy smile on her face, and soon proceeds to kiss her stepsister. Feeling uneasy, Tsukiko pushes her away and tries to leave, but Tomi stops her. Her behavior starts becoming increasingly bizarre and abnormal as she shows Tsukiko the scar on her neck that begins to evolve into a deranged talking tumor. The sight horrifies Tsukiko, so she runs away from what she deems a monstrous presence. Hearing this, Tsukiko's parents reprimand her and demand an apology to Tomi. At the same time, Tomi reappears in a seemingly normal state, wondering how she could refer to her as a monster. She also expresses that she is offended and decides to leave the house. Despite the parents' efforts to stop her, Tomi remains resolute in her decision. Just then, something takes over Masashi, and he brutally stabs Tomi with a knife, killing her on the spot. He instantly regrets his actions, but it is too late as his daughter is once again dead. But that hair still looks delicious. The next morning, Tsukiko witnesses a gruesome scene in the bathroom where her parents are dismembering Tomi's body. During this act, Tsukiko detects a movement in Tomi's eyes, startling her for a moment. Shortly after, the mother disposes of Tomi's head by throwing it away in the trash bin. She then goes to prepare Tsukiko's school lunch, during which she accidentally drops several chunks of Tomi's flesh and hair in it. While at school, the class teacher introduces everyone to a new student who bears a striking resemblance to Tomi. This sends Tsukiko into a state of panic, although she manages to suppress her emotions inside. During the lunch break, she confides in her closest friend about the unsettling events, but her friend dismisses it as mere perception. Following this, Tsukiko opens her lunchbox, only to discover several miniature heads of Tomi inside. Overwhelmed with horror, she flees and throws the lunchbox into the trash. When Yoshi goes looking for Tsukiko, she hears some eerie sounds from the trash, prompting her to investigate. Unexpectedly, the miniature Tomi heads emerge and strangle Yoshi with their long tongues, tragically taking her life. Meanwhile, at home, Tomi's severed head rises from the trash bin and manipulatively instructs her father to kill his wife so that she can feed on her body. Despite initial reluctance, Masashi succumbs to Tomi's influence. Back at school, Toshio approaches Tsukiko and strikes a conversation with her. He expresses his genuine concern for the difficulties she's been facing lately. Hearing him be so compassionate, Tsukiko can't help but smile. Furthermore, Toshio believes that she has a great photography skill, asks her to capture some images of him during his judo practice. Enthusiastically, she agrees to his request. Later, as Tsukiko enters the judo practice room with her camera, she begins photographing Toshio. Just then, Tomi shows up out of nowhere and challenges Toshio to a duel. The latter is taken aback to see her alive, so he doesn't respond to her challenge at all. He then attempts to talk to her, but Tomi pretends that she doesn't know him. As the duel begins, Tomi effortlessly takes Toshio down and kisses him in front of everyone. After school, Tsukiko arrives back home and notices a distressing scene, her father repetitively banging his head against a pillar. When she questions him about her mother's whereabouts, he leaves without offering a response. Later, we see Masashi feeding his wife's flesh to Tomi's head in the trash bin. The following day at school, Tsukiko notices Toshio passing by her, and then walking away in Tomi's company. This deeply saddens Tsukiko, who then makes her way to the printing room in order to print some copies of her photographs. There, she encounters her friend Yoshi, who reveals a tumor on her neck that is similar to the one Tomi possessed earlier. This once again terrifies Tsukiko, prompting her to flee the scene. Yoshi pursues her and enters the judo club's room, where she is confronted by members of the club. Upon witnessing the tumor on Yoshi's neck, they immediately decide to cut it off. The group then holds her tight, and one of them proceeds to decapitate it. However, they mistakenly decapitate her head instead of the tumor. As everyone watches in horror, the headless body reanimates and starts pursuing the judo club members. Elsewhere, Tsukiko comes across Toshio, who is seen stabbing Tomi. Just as Toshio comes back to his senses, a new Tomi emerges from the blood and begins kissing him. This devastates Tsukiko because she feels Tomi has taken her lover away from her. Overwhelmed by emotions, she ends up stabbing both Toshio and Tomi to death. As she runs away, she is once again chased by Yoshi, whose head has now transformed into the tumor. In the next scene, a scared Tsukiko hides in a room, locking the door behind her. Inside, she discovers a small trash bin from which Tomi's head emerges not long after. Another iteration of Tomi appears from a cupboard, her body covered in blood. Moreover, Yoshi also breaks into the room and slowly advances towards Tsukiko. Just as she is about to be cornered by several versions of Tomi, she suddenly wakes up in her bed at home, revealing that everything was just a dream. Yet writhed and relieved, Tsukiko then heads downstairs to the dining hall, where her parents are waiting for breakfast in a completely normal setting. Seeing her distressed face, they inquire about the matter. In response, Tsukiko recounts the nightmare involving her stepsister. Puzzled by her words, her parents point out that she is an only child and never had a sister. Confused, Tsukiko searches around for photographs and realizes that there are no pictures of Tomi. Taking a moment to relax herself, she sighs in relief, believing that she just had a bad dream. Unfortunately, just after a few moments, Tsukiko's assumption turns out to be false when she sees her father consuming hair and her mother's head stretching abnormally to the point where it appears almost inverted. Her parents then chase her, prompting Tsukiko to run towards the living room. There, a huge reflection of Tomi's face appears in the mirror, calling out Tsukiko's name. At the same time, Tsukiko's mother approaches her with a kitchen knife in her hand. However, before any harm can be done, a carnivorous centipede made out of Tomi's head attacks her mother. Seizing the opportunity, Tsukiko decides to dash upstairs to her room, but she is haunted by the unexpected encounters of Toshio and Yoshi. They cruelly reveal their true feelings, admitting that they never liked her and were just pretending to be her friend all along. Driven by fear and betrayal, Tsukiko pushes them down the stairs, after which they are both attacked by Tomi's centipedes inside her room. Tsukiko is again confronted by the looming presence of Tomi's gigantic head. Tired of running away, she finally chooses to face her and thus starts talking to her. She inquires about Tomi's real identity and motives. In response, Tomi claims that she embodies everyone Tsukiko cares for, her parents, Toshio, and Yoshi as well. Tomi also admits that she has been taking away all of her loved ones just to make her suffer, and now she expresses that she needs Tsukiko's body and she wants to inhabit her. Hearing all of this, Tsukiko realizes that she will not be able to survive with all of these relentless visions. She then accepts her fate and decides to fulfill Tomi's desires instead of dying without purpose. As the sisters reconcile, the Tomi centipedes begin to encroach upon Tsukiko. In the aftermath of these events, Tsukiko is shown walking out of the house, having become one of the versions of Tomi. Wandering through the streets, she finds other women, many of them being Tomi's version. Soon after, she runs into a stranger who asks her to accompany her to his apartment. In the final scene, we see Tsukiko is in the apartment, being subjected to multiple stabbings by the stranger. As she lies on the floor, she gazes at a mirror and retains fragments of her original beauty. However, the reflection she beholds in the mirror is of Tomi, her original stepsister, who asks Tsukiko if she is happy. The movie ends as both sisters share a maniacal laugh, their gazes locked on one another.